Good afternoon, everybody. I am Tony Parrott, the Executive Director at the Metropolitan Sewer District, and I want to welcome you to the site of the Waterway Protection Tunnel and Pump Station. We're here today for several reasons. One is to celebrate the 50th anniversary of the Clean Water Act. The Congress passed a federal Clean Water Act in 1972 on this very day 50 years ago. Because of the act of Congress, our nation officially recognized that safe, clean waterways was essential to public health, to the environment, and to the quality of life in local communities. Louisville MSD, we were formed 14 years prior to that, and we were tasked with putting the act into place, into operation for our community. Today, MSD functions as three utilities in one. Number one, we provide wastewater treatment for all of the water that comes from our sinks and our toilets and all of our homes in the community, and treating it before we put it back into local waterways. Number two, we provide drainage service for all of the local communities and subdivisions and roadways to make sure that we are managing flows so that we don't flood neighborhoods and cause problems locally in our community. Number three, we're also responsible for protecting the city from flooding from the Ohio River with miles of levee and major flood pump stations that we maintain and operate every day. We stand here this afternoon at the end of one of the biggest and longest projects we've ever done in the history of MSD, the 4-mile-long Waterway Protection Tunnel. Behind us is the pump station that dewaters that tunnel whenever the tunnel needs to be pumped out. It is approximately a $200 million investment in our community, and it is approximately 18 stories below the ground. We are so proud that this project is coming to conclusion. We put it in service actually back in June of this year, and today we wanted to recognize it as a part of the Clean Water Act because it was required under our federal consent decree. The federal consent decree that we've been under over the last couple of decades has really been a collaboration with MSD as our entity, a collaboration with our Metro Council, a collaboration with our mayor, and also a collaboration with the state of Kentucky and the governor's office, working with US EPA, Region 4 out of Atlanta, and also EPA in Washington, D.C. This project, the tunnel project, marks the last of the combined sewer projects that we have to do in response to the consent decree. It holds about 53 million gallons of storage, and then after a rain event, we pump that from this location over to our Morris Foreman wastewater treatment facility. I want to recognize and thank our contractor, Shrey Trailer. If you could throw your hands up. Are you in the crowd? All righty. And also our engineer, Black & Veatch. Throw your hands up for the tunnel. And also for the waterway, for the pump station, HDR. Are you in the house? Ben, thank you, sir. All of those folks work together, and we have put together a lot of storage, and this project was managed by Jacob Mathis. Is Jacob out there? Jacob, thank you, sir. With all the storage basins that we have done since 2006, we have been able to eliminate approximately 90% of the previous combined sewer overflows that existed in the city of Louisville, affecting Beargrass Creek and other tributaries in our community. So we've done a lot of work. We still have a lot of work to do, but 90% reduction in combined sewer overflows because of all the work that we've done under our consent decree. So as we were building the tunnel, we acquired approximately 5 acres of property. And now that we have concluded that work, We are here at the primary construction site, and we are going to be donating, I should say, or transferring the property to the Waterfront Development Corporation for use in extending Waterfront Park westward beyond the infamous 9th Street divide. We all know that Waterfront Park is a great asset to the quality of life in Greater Louisville, and we are happy at MSD to be a part of that spread and that expansion to this important asset, because it reflects what we try to do every day, which is to manage our large capital projects and leave the site better than we arrived, and also to create a community benefit. There's no greater champion than economic development and quality of life improvements than our governor.
I want to thank Tony for that kind introduction and for the incredible work that the MSD team has been doing over these last several years. I also want to thank Representative Pamela Stevenson and Representative Al Gentry for joining us today. They have been big supporters and fierce warriors for this city. And with us today, Mayor Fisher, Louisville Metro Council President David James, Waterfront Park President Deborah Belitsky, and Carol Kemper from the U.S. Environmental Protection Agency to celebrate the 50th anniversary of the Clean Water Act, to celebrate the completion of a project that is going to ensure that so many families aren't exposed to potentially harmful water, and at the same time to promote equity and better ways of life for every single one of our families in Louisville. This is a special day where we are doing so much all at the same time. Despite tremendous progress since 1972, I was just thinking the 50th anniversary of the Clean Water Act, where apparently MSD was already 13, I was -6. We still face big challenges when it comes to clean drinking water. And think about it. Clean drinking water is a basic human right. But here we are in the year 2022, and we have some schools, including one in northern Kentucky, that have to shut down on days that they can't have enough clean water to open their cafeteria. We have homes, whether it is rural or urban, that are not being served in the way they need to for our families to be as healthy as they can. Listen, in Kentucky and across the greatest country on planet Earth, we can and we should do better. But we are seeing a type and a level of investment in our water and wastewater infrastructure that we have never seen in our lifetime. So I am more hopeful than I have ever been that the infrastructures we are investing in right now don't just help us land that next company, but ensure that every single Kentucky family can experience a quality of life that we all want for our own children. I was just talking to this amazing project manager who helped build what's behind us. And first we talked about what it can do, and then I looked down 200 feet, but then we started talking about our kids. And that's why we do these types of projects. That's why we bring in that next major employer. That's why we constantly push for a better Kentucky, because we so much want that better lives for our kids and our kids' kids. And we all share one dream in common. That's that our children or our grandchildren will never have to leave the Commonwealth of Kentucky if they don't want to, or the region they're from if they don't want to, because we make every opportunity available for them, and we provide the best quality of life from across this country. That's why my administration has been, we're proud to have designated $500 million in a bipartisan agreement with the General Assembly and American Rescue Plan Act funds to create a statewide cleaner water program. Throughout that program, we have awarded more than $19 million to fund projects here in Jefferson County alone. That includes $12 million. That includes $12 million awarded to MSD for capacity improvements at Patty's Run Pumping Station, something I know is really important to achieving that consent decree. Let me tell you, MSD's work is oftentimes behind the scenes, or as I've seen, underground. But this infrastructure is just as important as what we're seeing above ground, and ensuring that it is being done in all parts of Louisville. Give each and every one of our neighborhoods the opportunity to land that next employer. Give each of our neighborhoods the chance to share in the upcoming prosperity that, folks, we will see. Today is tough, but the foundation we are building is going to create a bright tomorrow for our kids and our kids' kids. So I want to recognize everybody at MSD, as well as the construction team, for the completion of the Waterway Protection Tunnel, which we'll cut the ribbon on today. So as Tony said, where we're standing here today has served as the primary construction area for the last 4 years, and it's built 18 stories beneath the ground here in Louisville. It is a $221 million project, and that's going to help prevent sewer overflows from polluting the Ohio River and Beargrass Creek. And let me tell you, it's a little bit personal to me, because for 15 years, Brittany and I called Louisville our home. It's where our children were born. It's where we raised them for the first decade of their life. It's a city I love, and I lived in a neighborhood for 10 years that's a tributary of the Beargrass Creek. And we had the signs up about days we shouldn't be close to that water. And I know what it's like walking kids near that creek, wondering how we can't do better. Well, today we fulfill a promise, both to my kids, but all of the children, as well as everybody else living in Louisville, to make sure their waterways are safe, their water is clean, and just look at the progress that today shows. Those of us that have worked with or around this consent decree know what a big deal it was, how many steps would be taken, and many wondered if we'd ever reach the day we are at today, where so much progress has been made. And just to think, as we're celebrating the 50th anniversary of the Clean Water Act, where we're celebrating a $220 million project, it's going to make life better for families in every neighborhood of Louisville. We're also celebrating Waterfront Park and its expansion into the west end of Louisville. This was one of my priorities in the budget that I submitted to the General Assembly. It's why we were at Waterfront Park, to make that announcement that Waterfront Park should serve all parts of this community. And I want to thank everybody who worked so hard to get that in the budget, to keep it in the budget, and who is as excited as I am on the construction of Waterfront Park to the west end of Louisville.
People can take for granted clean water and a fantastic wastewater system or company that we have here in Louisville. And I think today, on the 50th anniversary of the Clean Water Act, we should step back a little bit and really be thankful in our community here. When you think about the Louisville Water Company and the pure tap that they have, our water is so good that we brand it. And there's a national water competition every year, and we always finish in the top 3. When we don't win, it's a mistake. So, you know, when you go to some parts of the country, as you know, you don't want to drink their water. Here you can just drink it out of the tap. When you think about wastewater and flood protection and drainage control, there used to be big issues here in our community 10 years ago, 20 years ago. So the work that MSD has done over the year to help with this vital infrastructure and quality of life that we have here just cannot be understated, how powerful our water and wastewater utilities are here, which is so important for many reasons. Obviously, quality of life, job development, just goes on and on. I've gotten to the point where I'm almost 12 years into this job. I find infrastructure to be very sexy. I couldn't have said that 12 years ago. But when you see projects like this and the billions of dollars that goes into moving people around and water, this, that, and the other thing, it's just a big deal. And I'm really, really appreciative and grateful for the companies that we have here that help us with the water company and MSD. This day, the day of the Clean Water Act, is a day where we really underscore the embodiment of that act and the dedication of this innovative wastewater tunnel here. Think about it, 4 miles long, 18 feet tall diameter pipe in there that originally was going to be a major project along Main Street, but as we worked with MSD, we said we can't close down Main Street for 2 years. So they said, let's come back with some innovation. So this project has been recognized as one of the most innovative engineering projects in the country, and we're very proud to have that here in Louisville, Kentucky. When you think about keeping our river clean, our creeks clean, so much progress, again, has been made. from our partners with EPA. I want to thank you all. People look at consent decrees as a bad thing. They're good things because they help us get better, and we clearly see that with the health of our waterways. And then obviously we use this property for multiple purposes. When this property became available, we looked at this as potentially fulfilling many dreams that we had. One, obviously, extending the park westward. But when we knew then we needed to have a tunnel and a place to begin that tunnel, this obviously became the logical conclusion. Move the beginning of the park back a couple years, but that's okay, because this is really what you see when you think about good, thoughtful government using taxpayers' dollars to have multiple uses for one piece of property for many, many reasons. And so that's what you see here today that is resulting in cleaner water, healthier people, makes our city more inviting, makes our city more inclusive as well, and that's what good government's supposed to be all about. We'll be back next week to, I guess officially, Deborah, kick off Waterfront Park Phase 4 and kick that off. So when you think about what was here before, just a blank lot, then 4 years, this amazing project here, and close our eyes, and in 2 years you're going to see hundreds and thousands of kids running around here on the playground, people overlooking the Ohio River, enjoying the beautiful natural environment that we have. This is just a home run on so many different ways for us in the city. And this project here is just one of many projects that's been focused on improving the natural environment in the west end of Louisville. We've got our new Shawnee boat ramp, Shawnee Park hiking trail, the Chickasaw Pond restoration, and then progress on the Shawnee Outdoor Learning Center as well. So equal access to outdoors is extremely important. We all benefit from what they call vitamin N, and vitamin N is nature. And humans are part of nature, but sometimes we forget that. So the more that we can get out and enjoy nature, the better it is for our soul. So just congratulations to everybody here. Wonderful example of federal, state, local partnership, and tremendous innovation by one of our great agencies, the Metropolitan Sewer District.
One thing I can tell you is that we have a lot of discussions with our friends at EPA, and particularly our friends in Atlanta, Region 4 of the division of the U.S. Environmental Protection Agency. EPA set the rules for giving real-world application to the 1972 vision of the Clean Water Act. And with us here today from Atlanta is the Director of Enforcement and Compliance, Ms. Carol Kemker, Region 4.
I am so happy to be here, not only representing the federal government, but my Kentucky family. I have family here in Louisville and all over Kentucky, so I am so happy to be a part of this celebration. And thanks to everyone who has made today possible. For the folks who have done the design and construction and operation, the funding, as well as the folks who have pulled together the logistics for this celebration. Thank you so much. Clean and safe water is our nation's most precious resource. It sustains life. It gives us opportunity for recreation and play, and it's an engine for our economy. When Congress passed the Clean Water Act of 1972, it was with overwhelming bipartisan support. It charted a new path for America's waters. As a result, we've had transformational progress over the last 50 years. EPA is fortunate to have Kentucky, the Kentucky Energy and Environment Cabinet, as a partner in implementing the Clean Water Act. In 2009, the city of Louisville, Jefferson County, entered into that consent decree, and I have to tell you, I didn't know if I could say consent decree at a celebration. But I've heard it a few times now, so thank you very much. but entered into that agreement with the EPA and Kentucky under the Clean Water Act to resolve sewer issues, broad-ranging sewer issues. The completion of this project is representative of significant improvements to keep waterways clean and the environment healthy by keeping untreated sewage out of local water and where it shouldn't be. So the ongoing Louisville projects protect human health, and they will assure a properly maintained system for generations to come. The federal, state, city, and county consent decree is an ongoing Clean Water Act success story. To you, Jefferson County, City of Louisville, and the great Commonwealth of Kentucky.
First of all, I want to say that Tony Parrott's been here thanking everybody and recognizing everybody for all the great work they do. But I got to say to Tony Parrott, you do an outstanding job. Thank you very, very much. And so as Tony was saying, I sit on as a part of the wet weather team, and it's a group of citizens, and we have the honor and pleasure to meet with Tony on a regular basis and tell him what we think about this or that or the other. Sometimes good, sometimes bad. But we all work through it, and I call it the best form of community-oriented government. And so we get to talk, we get to learn about the challenges that we have that the mayor referred to earlier, and we work as a collective of voices to try to get to this day, actually. And so I'm just very grateful and thankful to have been able to serve on that team. I'm very thankful for Tony Parrott for his leadership. I'm thankful for Mayor Fisher for selecting him because Tony has done so much to change the face of our city. Him and his team work very, very hard to make sure that we as citizens of Louisville have a better quality of life. And on this particular project and all the other water management projects, you know, it's a fine balance, balancing the creative engineering thoughts and how we're going to make things better and protecting the ratepayers' dollars. And so I just want to once again say thank you to Tony, thank you to his team, and I'm excited for this day. Thank you so very much.
This is such a momentous day, not just because it marks the 50th anniversary of the Clean Water Act, not just because it's the Belle of Louisville's 108th birthday, and it is, had to give a shout out to the Belle of Louisville, but because it marks the completion of MSD's Waterway Protection Tunnel, and it marks the day that we're transferring the property for Waterfront Park Phase 4 so we can begin construction. Thank you. This 22-acre expansion of Waterfront Park between 10th and 14th Streets along the river will expand access to community open space along the river and bring Waterfront Park within a short walk of over 12,000 residents of our West End neighborhoods. While MSD is working hard underground to protect our waterways and keep our environment cleaner and healthier, people above ground will be enjoying the world-class amenities at Waterfront Park, which has been recognized consistently as one of the best urban parks with one of the best river walks in the country. Thanks. Yes. The first phase of construction, which we plan to begin next week, will include a very exciting, unique outdoor experiential learning area that we have designed in collaboration with our partners at Kentucky Science Center. And I'd like to mention and thank Joe, Haas, Mike, Norman, and the rest of the team at Kentucky Science Center. You've been amazing partners. I look forward to working with you on this project. MSD has been a wonderful partner with Waterfront Park by acquiring a significant portion of the land needed for the Phase 4 expansion, which has been planned for many years. Our teams have worked together in lockstep throughout the process, always with the goal of maximizing community benefit. I want to personally thank the team at MSD. You help us problem solve, not just on this project, but always on every project, and I really appreciate everything, and I also look forward to working with you as we transform this space into an amazing community amenity. Congratulations for completing this monumental project, and I look forward to our long-standing community partnership in expanding Waterfront Park westward.